a new magical girl series from Ashi Productions, after the success in the 80s of Minky Momo. Sweet Mint shows the daily adventures of Mint, the princess of the Magic Kingdom, who, as the tradition says, when she turns 12, she has to go to live to the human world, to be trained by sowing happiness seeds in the people. And ends up being necessary to do so, because before she left, they noticed that the flowers in the rainbow garden turn dark blue, which is a sign that the people in the world aren't happy. Then Minnie is sent to live with her own herb in her store called Happy Shop, which they describe as a store that sells happiness, because it's a store that sells every kind of items, from bread to a bicycle. Those have the quality of making happy their owners, since they have magic added. Because Mint is sent without instructions to find her out, she ends up making 3 friends in the way that help her and know about her magic skills. They are the kid Takuto, Plum, who falls in love with her, and the kind girl Nuts. And with them, Mint takes charge of the Happy Shop. Mint is accompanied by the flying penguin Waffle, and as one could notice, the names in the characters are based on desserts and plants. Something uncommon on this series is the carefree way they use the magic, giving little importance if they are noticed by humans, and with Mint, she casts it through her bracelet that can transform her and can summon her magic wand and bow, working her magic in a lot of different ways. A series created direct for video, produced by Toho, taking advantage of the format to take some freedom in the contents. This short series tells the story of Yoko Mano, an ordinary teenage girl that, being 16 years old, her grandmother reveals her family legacy, that every virgin girl becomes a devil hunter. But Yoko refuses to accept that truth, and is not sure about becoming the 108th Devil Hunter, but her grandmother manages to convince her. That's how the series runs from the first episode that shows her beginning as a Devil Hunter to the later ones, in that she gets an apprentice and sidekick, faces rivals, and knows more about her family's past, between many battles with demons. Yoko, in order to transform into Devil Hunter, uses the Yoma ring that she inherited from her grandmother, and to be able to fight the demons, she calls the Soul Sword. This series is clearly targeted for a male audience, because in addition of having many action sequences when she physically fights demons, it has frequent nudity, and there's the warning that the first episode has sexual content.
月の光も届かぬ闇を誠の愛にて照らし出す。この世にあだなす邪悪を断つ。魔の狩人と人の呼ぶ第108代目魔物ハンター陽子。
In a city by the sea, there's a well-known tale about a flower fairy that helps 2 lost children when they ask help to the flowers. The name of this fairy is Maribel, like the name of the flowers. This tale is the favorite of the little girl Yuri and her younger brother Ken, whom they love the flowers and are worried because their parents' flower shop isn't successful. That's why they wish that Maribel really exists to get her help. And that wish is listened by the flowers, when they call for Maribel, appearing in front of them, telling them that she wants to be their friend and will help them. Then Maribel appears her own house on the Hill of Flowers, where she starts to live and introduces her companion, Tambourine, the fairy, who has the skill of changing Maribel's clothes. And Maribel's magic tambourine is from where Tambourine appears, which is her magic item she uses to cast her magic and get items from the magic world of flowers, getting her flower-shaped magic wand to use her magic that is flower-based. Maribel also has the natural skill of speaking with the flowers, which is useful to solve each trouble she faces. From there on, the story continues, with Maribel spending her time with the two kids and their parents in their flower show, also called Maribel, and also meeting the kind old woman, Rose, helping them to improve their shop and helping them at everything they face each day. Usagi Tsukino is an ordinary 14-year-old girl, clumsy, crybaby, and boy-loving, that seems like she doesn't have any special trait, but one day on the way to the school, she finds a black female cat. In it, she finds out it has a crescent moon mark in its forehead. Later, this cat starts talking with Usagi and introduces herself as Luna, a servant in search of the Sailor Senshi, or Sailor Scouts, when they help her to find the Moon Princess and save the Earth from being destroyed by the Dark Kingdom. Then she tells to Usagi that she is Sailor Moon, one of the soldiers she was looking for, and to be able to become her, she gives her the brooch called Moon Prism, and with the phrase "Moon Prism Power! Make up!" she can transform herself to face the enemies that the Dark Kingdom sends. As the story goes on, many things are revealed, like the past origin of that battle, new powers, and new allies, that in total they make a team of 5 scouts, including her. Her partners are in appearance order: Sailor Mercury, Sailor Mars, Sailor Jupiter, and Sailor Venus, and the last one appears accompanied by a male cat that looks like Luna, but white-haired, called Artemis. The series concept started with a previous manga series called Codename Sailor B, in which it presents a lone scout that works like an agent, fighting different enemies. From this character, it was added the concept of Super Sentai series, very popular in Japan, of which Power Rangers is the best known example in the East, showing hero teams with superpowers and different colors each one. The series' success was huge, not only in Japan, but in the whole world, being translated to more than 15 languages, being as famous as Dragon Ball, which made it the banner series not only for the magical girls genre, but for anime. In consequence of this success, the series had 4 more seasons, adding more characters and expanding the series universe, and it's worth mentioning that the story in the animated version showed many differences in comparison to the manga, while the story essence was kept. Sailor Moon left such a big legacy that now many series on the genre are still using ideas and concepts added and shown in it. From the way to show the transformations, to the concept of magical girl teams fighting enemies or monsters. Even after a long time, this series is still popular. So, to celebrate its 20th anniversary, a new season is premiered in summer 2013.
In Japan, it's very important for women how they behave, interact, and speak because that gives them a better status as women, being perceived more feminine. Because of that, even they deliberately make a thinner voice. And that way of thinking is a problem for Himeko Nonohara, the main character of this series, because she is more active and direct when speaking, being perceived as a tomboy by the people, becoming her situation worse when she is compared to her older sister, who is the model of a feminine girl because her looks and personality, making it more difficult to her to get near the boys she likes. While this happens, Princess Erika appears from the Magic Kingdom looking for the person that looks like her, who happens to be Hime-chan. Then, when she finds her, she introduces herself and explains that to be able to graduate in magic, it's required to find their look-alike in the human world and give him or her, during a year, the magical item created by them for their use and testing. That's also a requirement to be able to get to the throne. Then she gives Hime-chan a hair ribbon and a watch that when used in front of a mirror with a magic gesture and phrase, she can turn herself in the person she wishes. After this, Princess Erika returns to the Magic Kingdom and she is unable to come to a world during the year of the test. So, to give some help to Hime-chan, Pokota, Hime's all-stuffed doll, is given life, becoming her best friend and support, not just in the use of magic, but also in her day-to-day life. This magic, when using it, has its restrictions. One is the need of wearing the ribbon and watch to activate the magic, transforming the watch into a pendant, which is also necessary to reverse the transformation. Another is the fact that the magic only lasts for an hour, because if she exceeds the time limit, she will stay transformed forever. Some things that stand out in the series is the more romantic approach of the story, which makes it more interesting and complex. This adds a good reason for the character sections and motivations. As an extra, the fact that SMAP, a very popular Japanese teen music group of the 90s, performs the series songs. It made it more popular.
There's the belief that twins share a special and uncommon bond that makes them aware of the feelings and thoughts of the other. This idea is developed in this story, where the twin sisters Tomomi and Mikage Matsunaga share psychic skills that become stronger when they're close. These skills, it's the similarity that share with Esper Mami, changing the context. Besides, the abilities they use more often are telepathy and teleportation. The last one, they can use it only when they're touching. But some of the things that make different this series is that it also belongs to the romantic drama genre, revolving the story around the romantic affairs of the twins and their friends. And in addition, another twist on the story, at the same time there's a plot on a royal family in which they end up involved because there's a group between that is interested in persons with psychic powers, besides their own science teacher, Mr. Kageura, that is devoted in proving they have those powers. With all this mix of elements in the series, it becomes an interesting story that can shift between episodes with romance, daily life situations, or adventures with suspense. Something special that is worth to mention about the series is when having a story, characters, and a world well written, it made a difference from many of the magical girl genre, becoming appealing not just for the niche audience, but also for the female audience in general, becoming popular enough not to be overshadowed by Sailor Moon. which was published in manga at the same time, and media in Nakayoshi magazine.